Good evening, everyone. It's Dr. Jen Kordonsky here, and tonight's class is Don't Worry, Be Happy. It's kind of a part two. May 12th, I think, or May 17th, we did Don't Worry, Be Happy. And in that class, and you can watch that on YouTube still, we talked a little bit about how the tendency for us to deem an event as negative can have a negative impact on our lives and can take away from some of the quality of life. In tonight's class, I want to touch on how stress and unhappiness is taking a toll on you physically as well. And really, optimal health includes mental health, and it includes satisfaction with life and your happiness. It's really important that we address these things. The purpose of these classes is not just to talk at you, but to keep you engaged and informed and on the quest. So for those of you who are in the beginning phases of your corrective chiropractic care, we're addressing symptoms and problems. These classes will provide you specific techniques and ways of thinking and procedures to help you heal as quickly as possible and get through the crisis phase, get through the corrective phase. And then once you're done with that, the classes are designed to keep you inspired and engaged and thinking about your health. For us, we call it the chiropractic lifestyle, the way of being that isn't just about preventing disease or dealing with problems when they happen, but about being proactive, about taking actions that build health. And in the respect of tonight's topic, don't worry, be happy, the concept of your mood, your disposition, your emotional state of being having an impact upon your physical health is very important. And it's really often understated. We don't really pay too much attention, or we don't link the two. How we feel emotionally to how our body is doing physically. The status of our immune system and our digestive system are intimately intertwined with how we're doing emotionally and how happy you are in life. And you know what? I want to enjoy my life. I want to live and have a pleasant experience the most of the time, live in joy and satisfaction with what I've got going on. And that doesn't always seem so easy, right? It's like, don't worry, be happy sounds kind of trite. Like, don't worry about it. You don't have real problems. No, we have problems. All of us. We're living in a pretty crazy world, especially right now. And it can feel a lot like you're just a rubber ducky on a stormy sea, right? With what's going on in your life and in your world tossing you around. But the truth of the matter is that you're not just a rubber ducky. You have some capacity. You have the ability to make choices. And even though we can't control the vast majority of what's going on in the world, you can make certain choices. You can take certain actions. The choice that you make in how you perceive the world is important. I like the quote that says, the most important decision that you will ever make is the decision on whether you believe this to be a friendly universe or a hostile one. Because I think once you make that decision, it kind of sets the tone and it changes your expectations. But tonight's topic, I really want you to stay focused on the fact that how you feel how you feel emotionally will have an impact on your physical health. And I talk about this a lot, and I'll just touch on it briefly, but the fight or flight response that your body experiences when you're under any type of stress, you experience any stressor, you trigger the fight or flight response. That directly impacts and changes every cell in your body. Your physiology changes when you experience a stress. Your blood pressure, your heart rate, the hormones that you're producing or not producing, how digestion is going or not going. Even the basic constituents of your blood are different when you're experiencing or you're in that fight or flight mode. And that's good if it's short term. Your body is reacting and it's designed to do that to protect you from whatever the stressor is. But unfortunately, we live in a world where we have chronic stress, and there's even just this low level of chronic stress that keeps triggering the fight or flight response. You may not even feel like you're experiencing any particular stress, and yet you may be physically experiencing the ill effects of the chronic stress response and the toll it takes on your body, how it will prematurely age you, and how it can predispose us to all types of diseases, symptoms, and problems in our body. So, even though most of the things that happen in the world, the little stresses and the big stresses, are out of our direct control, we do have certain things that are within our control, especially when it comes to the way stress impacts your body, your mind, and your health. What I want you to do is imagine a seesaw. And in that seesaw, we have two sides of it. One side is the incoming stress, let's say. What's going on at work, what's going on with your kids, your family, your environment, whether it be locally or what's happening on the news, on your social media feeds, all of this incoming stress, right? That's on this one side. Then on the other side of the seesaw is your resiliency, your adaptability, your capacity to handle stress and cope with and adapt to the things coming at you. If that seesaw is staying fairly balanced, all is good. You are not going to be broken down. You won't be suffering the ill effects of stress on your physical and emotional body. But when one side far outweighs the other, we're going to have a problem, right? When the incoming stress is higher than your capacity, your resiliency to adapt. I want to point out quickly that this same seesaw can be used to think about our risk of infection, our risk of getting sick, our risk of having negative health consequences from a virus such as COVID-19 that we're all particularly concerned about right now. We know, science tells us, that it is not just the presence of a virus or a bacteria that will cause a disease. It is a balance between our exposure and our resistance, right? And we can see it very clearly now. The statistics are coming out of the number of people who have been exposed and had no idea they were exposed. The number of people who test positive and have no symptoms. So, and then there's the percentage of people that test positive and have serious negative consequences, right? What is the difference? It's exposure and resistance. We have to have a balance of both. So I can be exposed, but if my resistance is good, then I'm going to be okay. But if I'm exposed and my resistance is low, then we're going to have a problem. So let's think about that seesaw, and let's think about it when it comes to your capacity to cope with stress and the amount of stress that's coming in. Certainly the stressors in your life are not all within your control, right? Many of them are just things that you have absolutely no ability to change. That's okay. Don't worry about that. Worry about the things that you do have control over. And one of those things is the negative and the stressful images and messages that we are getting constantly from the news media. You know the expression, if it bleeds, it leads. And the news is very guilty. All of the media is very guilty of preying on your tendency as a human being to be concerned about what's going on and things that might be dangerous to you. We have an inborn survival instinct that's going to make us tune into those things. Well, they're using it to their advantage to get your attention. So pay attention to how much of this you're consuming, how much of it you're allowing in. Then I also want you to think about the people in your life, the circumstances, the situations that might be bringing too much negativity to you. How much time you spend, how you spend that time with those people is up to you. You can make some choices in that realm. So lowering the incoming stress is a strategy, but building the resilience, that's something that we really need to pay attention to. And if you look back in the classes that we taught that are listed on YouTube, you may have to dig a little bit for it, but it's called Coping with Stress. We recorded it on April 1st, I believe, or somewhere around there. In that class, we talk about tools and strategies that I implore you to start digging into a little at a time, to start building your resiliency, making you a more adaptable person. So I'm not going to go into all those classes or all those techniques tonight. Tonight I want to teach you one quick, simple tool that you can use very easily every day. You can use it starting as soon as we're done talking here, and you can use it to start mastering your response, your reaction. The way your world is unfolding around you has so much to do with how you perceive the situation, how you react to the situation, and how you act. And this tool is called Stop, Challenge, Choose. And I got this from Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson, his book Habits of Health, which is fantastic. And the way the tool goes is, like I said, stop, challenge, choose. Stop is about noticing. So if you start paying attention to yourself, you might find that you have some tells. You might notice when you're having a stress response, or you're feeling negative, or you're starting to think negatively, that there's something that you can notice about your body, whether it be a feeling in your stomach, a tension in your shoulders or your jaw. You might catch yourself having a limiting or negative thought about yourself, or about the world around you, or about something that you're worried about. You might notice that you're starting to feel anxious about something. Stop is all about paying attention to your physical body and to your thoughts, and noticing maybe it's just a craving, a urge, something is talking to you. That's a beautiful moment to stop. And step 2 is challenge. The challenge there is to challenge yourself to figure out, where did it come from? What is the real underlying cause of this feeling or emotion or tension in my body? Is it even mine? That's a great question to ask, because sometimes we're just picking up on other people's stuff. And if somebody around you is feeling anxious or stressed or worried, you may be just picking up on their feelings, and all of a sudden they're yours, and you're trying to make them yours because you're feeling this feeling. Then you're going to look for, what is it that I'm stressed about? So stop and notice what's going on. Challenge yourself to figure out what it's about. What's really the issue here? Where did it come from? Is it even yours? And 3 is choose. 3 is the action piece. This is where you can, if you can follow these steps, you can choose a more ideal reaction. If you were having a feeling and your gut reflex was just going to be to lash out at someone, or to slam a cabinet, or to reach for something unhealthy to change the way you felt, the step 3, the choose, you can take a different approach. If you're engaged with someone in a conversation and something they say is creating that tension or something in your body, well, you might be able to choose a more ideal response. You might be able to choose to walk away. So stop, challenge, choose is a great tool. You just have to start implementing it, and you'll get more and more skilled at using it. But it's an excellent, excellent tool. I definitely encourage you to go back and look at Don't Worry, Be Happy, Part 1. I encourage you to take a little bit of time and start digging into the steps of coping with stress, where we're really becoming a more resilient person. I also want to tell you that you don't have to be a victim of circumstance. You don't have to be a victim of your genetics. There's so much about the way your body works, the way your life runs, the way you feel emotionally, that is within your scope of being able to do something about it. But it takes action, it takes choice, it takes awareness. Just shifting your perception from one point of view to another can completely change your outcome. Think of, the classic optical illusion where we see either two faces or a vase, right? Most people are familiar with that. When you first look at an image like that, you see it as one thing, and someone else could see it as something completely different. But it's the same scenario. Perception changes everything. It's a proven fact that your perception of stress in your life will change how it affects you physically and emotionally. If you have the perception or the belief that this stressful circumstance is a challenge, that it's going to help grow you, or that there's some positive that's going to come of it, then the ill effects of that stressful circumstance will not be as troublesome in your physiology. But a person who sees a stress as damaging, then they're going to suffer more consequence from that. Just the perception alone. So we get to choose how we perceive the world and perceive circumstances. We get to choose how we react. And it's a practice skill that we're all going to keep practicing. And you get to choose the actions that you take. And being here, choosing to be part of these workshops every week is an amazing choice to just stay focused on the chiropractic lifestyle, which is about full potential, expressing it from the inside out, keeping engaged in the process of being proactive about your health and your well-being. This is what we want for you. We want the absolute best for you. Remember the story, the old, I think it's a Cherokee story about the two wolves. And if you don't know it, just look up The Tale of Two Wolves. And the question is, which one wins? And the answer is the one you feed. And if you know the story, I just want you to recall that and choose to feed the good wolf. And feed the good wolves of the friends around you, the people that you care about. I challenge you to send this to a friend and put some good out there and feed the good. And on that note, have a fantastic night, and we look forward to next week.